Hi, I'm Al, and this is a video. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to more Geometry Dash. Disclaimer away immediately. This is entirely my own personal opinion. I do not want anyone to harass anyone for their opinion. I don't want anyone to come after me for sharing my opinion. I just thought, let's do the monthly Aeon shares his opinion that no one cared about. This is purely based on visuals, song, how I feel about the level, what I think the gameplay looks like to play, and just how I personally feel about the level. There's obviously going to be some opinions that are completely wrong. There is no objectivity in this whatsoever. This is purely what I think about the level. Just as an example, I'm gonna put Fragile or Calculator Core, which a lot of people are really fond of, like in the middle, and then I'm gonna have stuff like Sari Never Clear very high up because I like Sari Never Clear. So if that ruffles your feathers in any way, shape, or form, probably not the video for you. I'm gonna try and explain why I think the way I think about levels and give like some slight opinions and why I think the way I do, so hopefully you guys get a little bit of an understanding as to why I have the stance that I have. Please be civil when discussing this. I just wanted to share my thoughts and opinions because the top 25 has changed quite drastically recently. Like, I was looking through the list not long ago and I was like, a lot of these levels I have never really shared or talked anything about, and a lot of them are quite interesting, so I'll make it into a video. So anyway, here are the top 25 hardest extreme demons in Geometry Dash from worst to best. AeonAir opinion, trademark. Number 25, Thinking Space. Thinking Space is one of those impossible levels that, in my personal opinion, fall short of entering like funny impossible level territory like Sari Never Clear and Hard Machine, as it takes itself very seriously and tries to do decoration without adding like a level of irony, and I feel like that makes it fall flat. I like a lot of old impossible levels for the sheer fact that they used to be impossible, so when people have just like remade them and reworked them, they've just like made them into just a massive joke, and I don't think that Thinking Space fits that criteria. I don't think the joke is there. It's just an old impossible level that looks garbage because it's an old 2.0 level, and for that reason I just don't like it the same way I do other impossible levels. I just don't think it's very good. Number 24, Sonic Wave Infinity. Coming in at number 24 is Sonic Wave Infinity. For those of you who do not know, Sonic Wave is my least favorite level in the game, and Sonic Wave Infinity is just the AP Team version of Sonic Wave. It's a hyper buff version of a level that I already think is like the worst thing ever created. And I'm gonna pull out my big guns already. I'm gonna call it right now. I think AP Team is just a corporation within Geometry Dash. Everything that they make has this like corporate feel to it. It is made for the sake of appealing to a mass audience, and it just lacks personality. I think some of the designs are okay, but the fact that it lacks a lot of personality and just feels like it's a corporate mass production, just not very good. I think it's better than Thinking Space, but that's because I do think some of the designs actually do look pretty decent, but I just feel like Sonic Wave Infinity has no personality whatsoever, and that's a big no for me. I want a little bit more personality in it. Number 23, Sakupin Circles. I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I do think Sakupin Circles, the redecoration, is pretty solid. My only issue with it is the fact that number 1 is a 9 circles level, and number 2, I feel like it just lacks a lot of intensity for what it tries to be. Similarly to Slaughterhouse, it has a very long pre-drop, which is just very easy relative to the rest of it. I've seen a lot of people say that pre-drop is like Insane Demon to like Easy Extreme Demon difficulty, which makes the beginning of a massive drag, and then you get thrown into like the hardest wave ever created with a bunch of like near frame perfects, and it's just a 40-second gauntlet of it could have been better. One of the things I feel is that the song just doesn't do it justice. The song isn't intense enough to justify the gameplay structure of Sakupin Circles, and I think that's where my biggest gripe lies. Because again, as I said, I think the redecoration does look good. I think Dr. Kuber and his team did a great job with it, but the level as a whole is just not the greatest, and I will be real, I hate the song. The song sucks. Number 22, we have Arcturus. Arcturus is where I start having like some positives to say, a little bit more so than just I think the redeco is good. But anyway, Arcturus to me is a very lackluster level. I don't think any of the decoration really looks that good. There is nothing that's like interesting. The only thing is like the giant crocodile mouth that eats you after the pre-drop before the dual wave. I think that's pretty cool. The one thing I do think Arcturus does really well though is the intensity of the ending. Once you get out of the straight fly ship and you get into like the last ship part before the end, that must be one of the single most nerve-wracking parts in any level ever, and I think that is what really shines with Arcturus. That is the one like really big positive that it has as like a level and experience. That is like super intense, and I think that's pretty cool. At number 21, we have a Descent into Exile. I'm gonna be real, I think the only real positive here is the fact that some of the designs look pretty solid. I think Grenade of Tacos and Sersha especially did a pretty decent job in just making cool parts. Now, here comes the thing that I think is really bad about Descent into Exile. The level takes itself way too seriously. For a level that's like supposedly like an old impossible level that was made to be like the hardest thing ever and then decorated to fit modern criteria and then verified, the level takes itself super seriously, and I think that's a massive detriment to it overall. I think my biggest issue with a lot of Riot levels is that they are super edgy and super like badass in massive quotation marks. Descent into Exile is just this grayscale level with decent designs that just looks awful to play, and it's super edgy for no reason. There's a giant die in the level, and I can't help but just cringe at it. It just doesn't look good, and the gameplay structuring is that of like old impossible levels, and if it like hard sent it to be like a funny bad level, I think it would be much better. Number 20 is Kinos. I think Kinos overall looks very subpar. It's not the greatest, and it's a Succube in Hell remake, and I don't like Succube in Hell. That wasn't evident by my negative 15 out of 100 enjoyment rating on it. But Kinos overall, I think it's just okay. I think some of the parts look okay, some of the parts look pretty bad. It's just a very mediocre level overall. If it wasn't for the fact that the Kinos thing happened to become a meme, I think Kinos would be one of the most forgettable levels in the top 25 altogether, because it just doesn't stand out. It's just a very below average forgettable level. There's nothing else to it. That's literally it. Number 19, Crimson Planet. I think Crimson Planet is just overall pretty forgettable. I know a lot of people have like a soft spot for it because Crimson Planet was like supposed to be the new top one, but it took like 10 million years for it to get rated. As a level, I just think it's not the greatest. I think the song is pretty okay. The song is bearable. I think the song is like, yeah, it definitely brings the level up. Some of the designs are cool and some of the gameplay gimmicks are pretty cool. I like the dash orb wave. I think the dash orb wave is really cool. And the one wave with the D blocks and stuff, I think is pretty neat. But other than that, Crimson Planet, underwhelming. It's not terrible, but it's not good either. Now we're getting into the levels that I think are starting to become like okay or like average. Number 18, the Golden. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be surprised to see the Golden this low, and to be fair, I just don't like the Golden. I think it is, as a remake, I think the Golden is incredibly bad. I think if the Golden didn't kind of like go in on the whole, this is supposed to be El Dorado 2 kind of thing, and not be like an El Dorado sequel or remake, I think it would have been better, because I think just El Dorado by Anubis just does it better. And the fact that it's supposed to be a remake of a level, and it doesn't end up being better than the remake, negatively affects it quite a lot. El Dorado has so much personality, and the Golden is just a very dark green level with really hard gameplay. The waves do look cool. I think visually speaking, the waves look insanely cool, and I think that's a huge positive. But overall, the Golden, it's just very average at most. Number 17 is Slaughterhouse. I actually placed Slaughterhouse much higher up than I thought I was going to. However, upon rewatching these levels to make this video and to like solidify my opinions on this, Slaughterhouse has a very strong intensity that suits being a top one. While I don't necessarily think Slaughterhouse as a level looks visually that good, and I don't really like Slaughterhouse as a level, and I dislike all the things that it has spawned, such as like the top one meme joke thingy where everything is just Slaughterhouse, I think Slaughterhouse as a top one is a very suiting level, as it has this slow, dark, kind of boring pre-drop, and it throws you into this super intense part, which goes all the way through. And I think Slaughterhouse is one of very few levels that truly nail the intensity that it tries to do. While I think it's another case of Descent into Exile, while it's just a little bit too edgy for my liking and it tries to take itself a little bit too seriously, I think it fits in this sense because of the intensity and the song that it works with. The song definitely adds to Slaughterhouse as an experience and as a level, despite not me really liking the song. I think it does great things for Slaughterhouse as a level, and therefore actually, upon watching it more and more, I actually start to like it. This level might actually creep up the list as time goes on. Number 16, we have Calculator Core. I just think it's an okay level. I have nothing else to say. It's just an okay level, and it is a remake of the best Team N2 level, in my personal opinion. I think Artificial Ideology is pretty good. But Calculator Core is just a decent level. Some of the parts look good, but I think the length of the level makes it prone to having more subpar parts, which is the case. I think some of the parts don't look good, like, at all. But as a level, I think it just does everything fine. At number 15, surprisingly enough, we have Fragile. And here is where my bias shines through. I think Fragile as a level isn't that good. I think Covaretta looks better. However, I also don't like Covaretta, but I love the song in Fragile. I think Fragile ends up this high up to me personally because I really like the song, because I can't really pinpoint anything about Fragile that I like that much. It's just an average level, but I like the song a lot. I have nothing else to say. That's literally my only thing. Number 14 is Tartarus, and Tartarus, I think, has some good 1.9 designs. That's all I have to say. I think the ship in Tartarus at the drop is one of the most visually interesting ships to look at anyone play. That's one of the things I like about Acheron as well, is that the ship parts look really cool when you watch someone play them in motion, and I think the same about Tartarus. I think the ships in Tartarus just look visually interesting to play, and I think as a top 1, Tartarus does very well, and I think it holds up surprisingly well. Number 13, Zodiac. I think personally Zodiac is like the penultimate average mega collab extreme demon. It's just a really long level with a bunch of different styles, and all of them are just okay parts. As a level, it's just cool, and it uses a good song. I think it's a great top 1. It has entry levels of gameplay so anyone can like try and attempt it, and I think it does well. It does exactly what it wants to, but it doesn't do anything spectacular in that sense. At number 12, we have Cognition. I will be real, I don't think Cognition looks that good. I think Cognition is held up by the atmosphere that it creates with the gameplay as well as the song. I think the claustrophobic feeling that Cognition creates with the gameplay is really cool. It's just this really thin, narrow passageway the entire way through, and I think that's a very cool idea for a gameplay gimmick and atmosphere. And I think the song is funky. I think the decoration is bad, but I think that the claustrophobic feeling and the song adds a lot to it, which makes it an overall pretty decent level. At number 11, we have Promethean. I think Promethean overall has good designs. I just like the level. I would never play it. I think the gameplay looks absolutely atrocious, but I do think the level looks cool, and I really like the song. I think the song, for some reason, works surprisingly well for a GD level. I didn't expect a song like that to work for a GD level, but it just does. So Promethean is just the high end of, yeah, it's pretty good. Between Slaughterhouse and Promethean, I feel like all of those are interchangeable. They're very similar scores to me overall. I like them for different reasons, but I also have major gripes with all of them. Promethean all the way down to Slaughterhouse can all be just like interchangeable. Slaughterhouse can go over Zodiac one day, Zodiac can be at the top one day. So those are like very interchangeable levels, so keep that in mind. It's not like a set in stone, this is what I think about them. This is what I felt today. Keep that in mind. Number 10 is Firework. Firework it has a lot of really cool parts. I do think some of the parts don't look the greatest, I will admit, and I'm not the biggest fan of the song, but I think Firework as a level and as like a gauntlet works very well. There's a reason why a lot of people are going for Firework now, and I think Firework is probably one of the best top 3s we've had in a really long time in terms of like, this is something anyone can work on and try and get runs on, but it's still an insane challenge. Firework, one of the things I really like about it is that it feels manageable regardless, because it's just a lot of timing. It is something most people can grind out given enough time, and I think that's a really cool thing. So Firework, I'm actually like pleasantly surprised with. I had a decent time with it, and as time has gone, I've just grown to like it more. Number 9, True Effect. I think True Effect is cool. I have nothing else to say. It gives me Timor vibes, and it's just a purple and gray, really intense level with overall cool designs, and some of the gameplay looks really visually cool to look at, like the wave spam. I think it's just a neat level. Would I ever play it? Absolutely not. Do I think it's cool to look at someone play it? Yeah. Do I think the decoration is fine? Yeah. I just don't have anything to say. At number 8, we have Renavant. Renavant is one of those levels that I think is cool, and I like Renavant as a whole because I like Allegiance. I'm gonna be real with you. I think Allegiance is a great level, and Renavant it's Allegiance, but harder. I think a lot of the gameplay is really neat, and I do like how it sticks true to the original source material, and overall, I think just Renavant is good. I have nothing else to say. I just like it. It's one of those levels that has a soft spot in my heart. Number 7 is Cold Sweat. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. I don't think Cold Sweat has aged that well. I think it paved the way for a lot of new effect level extremes, and I think I commend it for that. However, Cold Sweat I think has aged kind of poorly. It's still a good level. I think Cold Sweat is one of the more objective placements on this list because I would have placed it lower if it was just like me, but I can't justify putting it lower because I do recognize that Cold Sweat is a good level. It just doesn't do it for me personally. So hopefully you guys are fine with my compromise for the placement of Cold Sweat. I'm sorry if I've kind of disappointed you, but yeah, it's whatever. Number 6, we have Verdant Landscape. I think Verdant Landscape it looks good. It looks very fun to play as well. I've heard very good things about it, and I kind of wish it didn't go under the radar as much as it did because it's a cool level. It's just good. there's nothing else to say. I actually genuinely think this is like a good level. All I have to say. Now we're getting into the top 5, and clearly you guys have been paying attention to what I haven't mentioned yet, and as you can clearly tell, there's a lot of bias here. These are just the levels that I really like within the top 25, because there aren't that many. There are 6 of the levels that I really like, and 5 of them are very clearly biased, so here's the top 5. First and foremost, number 5, we have Hard Machine. Hard Machine is just, I think it's absolutely hilarious how an old Impossible level was, from like 1.6, was not buffed at all. It's actually nerfed because it had an Impossible ball part, so they had to add like a speed changer so that they could fit through the ball gap. And the fact that it still is a top 10 today, despite being made 7 years ago, absolutely hilarious. Doesn't take itself seriously. It has a lot of really funky gimmicks, and I don't know, I just like it. I think Hard Machine is a cool level. I like it. There's nothing else to say. I do wish the UFO sound was a little bit easier though, because if it was, I probably would try and go for it someday. Number 4 is Karis. I really like Erebus. I think Karis adds a lot of cool designs to Erebus as a whole. I think it fixes a lot of the issues that I had with Erebus's gameplay to begin with, and I think the extension is neat. I have nothing else to say. I just like Erebus, and I like the extension that it added. It's what Kino should have been for SpaceUK and Hell. Though, to be fair, I do like Erebus, and I don't like SpaceUK and Hell, so there might be something there. I don't know. Number 3, surprisingly enough, I think a lot of people would expect this to be number 2. Number 3 is Sari Never Clear. I think Sari Never Clear is like the penultimate joke level. It does exactly what it wants to, and it does it in such a humorous way. I think How Are You Clear My Map is probably my favorite piece of text in any GD level, and the fact that it got rated is the biggest joke Rob has ever pulled on us. I like Sari Never Clear. I'm never gonna have to explain to anyone ever why it's a good level. I think Sari Never Clear is great, and it's just a fun level. It's a fun level with a funny joke, and it has a lot of really weird, wacky gimmicks that just makes it great. Number 2 is Lotus Flower. I love this level. I think Lotus Flower is great. I think the duels are some of the most interesting duels we've ever seen in any level, and it's just a good level. I'm gonna be real, I'm not the biggest fan of Radiohead. It is not my cup of tea when it comes to music, so I think the song is a little bit of a detriment to the level as a whole, but the level conceptually is just so amazing. I think this level is gorgeous. I would love to beat it someday. It's just really hard. But yeah, no. I think Lotus Flower in every single sense of the way is amazing. I just wish the song was better. That's like my only gripe with it. Top tier level otherwise though. And number 1, I think no one's surprised at the only level of these that I've actually completed. It's Rust by Nashfi. Rust is fantastic. I have nothing to say. I think it looks visually one of the best levels on the list as a whole. Gameplay, sublime, beautiful, amazing. One of the most intense endings in any level that I've ever played. Great level. Amazing level. I just really like it. Anyway, that was my opinion sharing of the day. I hope you guys did not get ruffled too hard. I think this list is honestly pretty fair. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with stuff like my Sonic Way Infinity placement, or my Slaughterhouse placement, my Fragile placement especially. I feel like people are going to be very displeased with. And of course, Sari Never Clear and Hard Machine are going to be unpopular opinions. But either way, I hope you guys thought it was interesting. I hope I reasoned myself well enough for you guys to understand at least something. Again, be civil, be kind, don't let other people's opinions bother you too much. It's just an opinion. It shouldn't really matter. All in all, it's just a game, and it is literally just what I think about a level made in a video game. It's not that deep. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that you guys know the drill by now. Thank you for making my day better. Hoping yours a little bit better too. Eat your greens, stay healthy, stay hydrated, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, everyone.